I got rejected from the Prague Film Institute because of what they called, direct quote here, a complete lack of visual talent whatsoever. Ouch, right? So in what I thought would be my grand revenge, I enrolled in theater science at the University of Oslo, planning to become a merciless critic of so-called artists. But as it turns out, life had a different script in mind. Growing up with a father and uncle who were identical twin vision scientists definitely gave me a unique lens on reality. They often needed a test subject, and who better than the kid hanging around the lab? So there I was, peering into the right three-chromatic colorimeter, a fancy piece of equipment that, at the time, was the world's most advanced tool for studying color vision. Here's the thing. When you shine light at exactly 574 nanometers onto the fovea, the instruments tell you it's yellow. The actual experience of yellow, that's a whole other story. Something machines can measure, but only consciousness can truly know. Kind of like how light itself can be both a particle and a wave, depending on how you look at it. Reality isn't always what it seems. My master's thesis started off as a mission to take down the art world, but took an unexpected turn. I dove into the roots of the Dionysian cults in ancient Greece and realized that art wasn't just about expression, it was an attempt to bridge the gap between subjective experience and shared reality. The ancient Greeks, especially groups like the Pythagoreans, had this mystical approach to mathematics. While it was Aristarchus of Samos who first suggested that the Earth revolves around the Sun, the Pythagoreans believed that numbers and their relationships govern the cosmos. They saw math and mysticism not as opposites, but as two languages telling the same story. Funny how that works. By pure chance, or serendipity if we're being fancy, I found myself digging into the history of scientific measurement and came across Gerolamo Cardano. This Renaissance mathematician was also a notorious gambler. While trying to solve cubic equations, and maybe his gambling debts, he bumped into a problem. Equations that required the square roots of negative numbers. Now, if you multiply any real number by itself, you get a positive number. So 2 times 2 equals 4, 3 times 3 equals 9, minus 2 times minus 2 equals 4, and minus 3 times minus 3 equals 9. So, when Cardano needed to find a number that when squared would give a negative result, he was stumped. His solution? Imagine a new kind of number altogether. His peers thought he was out of his mind, and Descartes even dubbed them imaginary as a bit of an insult. But here's the kicker. These so-called imaginary numbers, which Euler later symbolized as I, became essential for describing real-world phenomena in physics and in engineering. They form this neat cyclical pattern. I to the first power equals I squared equals negative 1, I cubed equals negative I to the fourth power equals 1. A well-crafted theater piece. It just keeps looping, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. Back in that lab, with the right colorimeter, every time I said I saw yellow, I wasn't just a passive observer. I was an active participant in creating meaning. Just as light behaves differently when we observe it. Our consciousness shapes the reality we perceive. It's a bit like Schrödinger's cat, the idea that simply observing something can influence its outcome. Then there's the fascinating work of Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, who suggested that consciousness might emerge from quantum processes within the brain's microtubulus, tiny structures inside our neurons. It's a hypothesis that's still up for debate, but it opens up intriguing possibilities. Maybe consciousness exists at the intersection of the classical and quantum worlds, just like light's dual nature. This is why, at Wireloop, we steered clear of the term artificial intelligence. Instead, we embrace analytical imagination, because just like quantum particles exist in multiple states until observed, human imagination is a realm of endless possibilities until it interacts with the analytical processes. The word artificial makes it sound like we're trying to mimic or replace something genuine. But my journey with complex numbers and quantum mechanics has taught me what seems imaginary often reveals deeper truths about reality. Think about complex numbers. They blend the real and the imaginary to describe things that neither could alone. That is precisely what we're aiming for with analytical imagination. Merging computational analysis with human creativity to craft something new and extraordinary. This isn't just some theoretical idea. Back when I was working on Neptune software with Ole André Haugen, we showed that doing well financially and doing good socially aren't at odds. They actually support each other. Now at Wireloop, that same philosophy is applied to how humans and machines collaborate.